Hey, good day to you from Vine Grove, Kentucky. This is Pastor Dan at the Vine Grove United Methodist Church and also the High Ground Church. And we welcome you to this session, chapter 5, where we look at the parables of the lost, where Jesus tells these incredible stories of two instances where something's lost. And in one instance, the loss regards a coin. Another one is the instance of a loss of a sheep. Now, in another chapter, we'll deal with another element of lost, which is the lost son, the prodigal son. All of these are a part of a lost narrative in the 15th chapter of Luke. But in your chapter from Parables for Precious People, we'll be dealing with the two parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin. Now, why does Jesus tell these stories? Well, he recognizes that people lose stuff. I mean, how many of you have lost something? You just misplaced it and then you couldn't find it for the longest time. And then you panic because you can't find it and it's really important to you. Maybe you lost an important piece of clothing that you really wanted to wear. Or maybe you lost a precious keepsake or a precious item that meant a lot to you in your heart. Human beings do this all the time. I do that all the time. I've lost my keys to my car on several occasions, couldn't find them, only to find that they just accidentally got dropped somewhere, and then fortunately I did find them. But not always, as you'll find when you hear the chapter today. But when Jesus tells the parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin, he's wanting to make a very important distinction. And that is, we may value things we lose, but Jesus values people that are lost. We may value things that we lose, and understandably so, but for Jesus, the most important thing lost are precious people. And so, who are the lost? Well, the lost are the people who live in sin. Maybe they don't know any better. Maybe they're just living by impulse. They just have these urges to do certain things. Maybe they have an impulse to do anger, and then they lash out and hurt someone. That's lost. Or maybe someone has this great impulse to act out sexually, and then they harm someone. And, well, those are people that are lost. And they're lost because they don't understand the very important nature of living your heart, your mind, and your heart for Jesus. And if they know that, then people matter to them. And so when Jesus speaks of the lost, he's speaking about people who are forgotten by society, people who do not have a mind of Jesus or a heart of Jesus, and who do not know Jesus. Now, here's the good news. Jesus thought that the people who were lost were so important that he would literally risk anything to value them. Anything to help them know that they are precious, that they are important and special. So, when we look at these two parables, you have the first parable where Jesus teaches about a lost coin. Now, a lost coin in Jesus' time, 2,000 years ago, a silver coin may have been worth several weeks' worth of food. So imagine if you bought a whole bunch of groceries, or you fixed a whole lot of crops to be able to eat for the next 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden they were gone. Well, that's important. That people need that, and so you lose that, and it hurts. It's scary stuff. So Jesus told the story so that people would know, oh, this is painful to lose this. To lose this coin is painful. Well, to Jesus, losing people is painful. It hurts to the core. It's sad. It's tragic, because people matter to God, and they should matter to us. You'll hear me say that over and over and over again. People matter to God, and so they should matter to us. That's why Jesus is telling the parable. So we can know, hey, you've lost something that's important to you. Well, people are even more important. People are precious. He tells the second parable. And the parable of this one is the lost sheep. In this case, it's that there are 100 sheep that are all in a pen, large piece of land, and then one of them gets lost. Well, it may not make a lot of sense that Jesus would say that the shepherd leaves the 99 sheep alone and goes to find the one sheep who's lost. But what Jesus was trying to do was not defy common sense. He was trying to share about how valuable lost people are. People who are lost, people who sin, people who struggle are so valuable. Just because they made a mistake doesn't mean that they are less in the worth according to God. This is a tragic mistake that all of humanity makes from time to time, where we value people based on their goodness or what they do for us. But when someone does something poor, someone makes a mistake, we think of their value as less. No. In Jesus' mind, their value is just as important. This is why Jesus spent so much time in his ministry with people who were sinners, people who made mistakes, people who had bad reputations, people who were poor, people who were forgotten by society. He spent all that time with them to convince them that their worth is still important, that they're still precious to God, that people matter to God, and they should matter to us because they mattered to Jesus. Well, I want to leave you with an interesting story that we have circulated around the United States. And to be honest, we haven't been able to verify this story, but I have a feeling that there's some truth to this story. And this story comes from Africa. And so we don't know what tribe, we don't know where. We might even be in Kenya. But sometime back, there was a story that there was a small African tribe that had the following ritual. That when someone made a mistake, maybe a big mistake, that they would take that person, and no, they didn't take them and throw them in the wilderness and say, "Be gone." They wasn't about being lost. They took the person, and for a period of up to a couple of days, they would tell that person all that was good about them, all the good things they've done, all the value that they had to them. Because the thinking was, if they could be seen for their value, seen for what was good in them, they may reconsider the bad actions that they may have sinned with and be restored back in to the community. Now, we can't verify what tribe and what place, but I've known enough people in all parts of Africa through the many years of ministry that I had that I believe that likely happened, and that is a beautiful witness of Christian faith. In fact, we're learning more and more that our great prophets of our world are today coming from Africa in many places because of the goodness and the love that they share in helping others to know Jesus. And so let's remember this story today, and this chapter today. People are precious. We get lost sometimes. We make mistakes, but we're still valuable to God. We're valuable to each other. So in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, enjoy this chapter 5, and blessings to you in the quest to love God and love neighbor and love yourself in health. Bye for now.